show on WWOZ 90.7 FM and WWOZ.org. I'm your host, Cole Williams, and I have the privilege of hosting all these amazing piano players live in our studio today, which is streaming on our Facebook and YouTube pages. And I can't wait to introduce our next performer, the one and only Mr. Joe Krown.
Hey, Cole.
Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. I've been listening to all these piano players, and it's very inspiring.
I'm sure. You know, I've been asking the same question about why people are so inspired to play this music, but I want you to take the lead on that and let us know what you're going to play.
Well, I grew up north in New York, and my first exposure to this music was Dr. John. I always, as a kid, I always loved to play ragtime. I would study classical piano, and I loved to play ragtime and actually boogie woogie. And when I heard Dr. John play, I was like, wow. I couldn't even make out what the songs were because the piano was just so overwhelmingly like addictive to me. And once I like got into that sort of thing, I started doing my research about it, and I realized that, you know, this all comes from Professor Longhair. And if you ever listen to any of the interviews that Mac did, especially back when I was a kid, he always talked about, you know, you have to listen to Fess. Yeah, Professor Longhair is really, all I can tell you is just listen to Professor Longhair. And as I've grown older, you know, I just got deeper and deeper with the style. And I've only been living here about 35 years now, and I say only because no matter how long you live here, you know, it's never enough. But I actually got to know some of the original piano players like Mac and Alan Toussaint and Eddie Bow. And, you know, anytime I got around them, I was like, okay, you know, here's my opportunity. Let me see if I can peel some wisdom from the masters. And they all said the same thing. Two things. I want to play boogie woogie, and I want to play like Professor Longhair.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that was it. I mean, I spent a lot of time talking to Alan Toussaint because actually at one point in time, a couple of years before he passed, we were out together on a tour for 3 weeks, and we talked all the time. And after that, we remained very good friends. And it all came back to just, you know, play boogie woogie and play like Professor Longhair, and everything else goes on from that, you know. So that's what really kind of brought me into this, and that's why I've continued with it.
Thank you. What are you going to play first?
Well, you know, I've been sitting in the studio for this entire time listening to every one of these piano players. I made a big shopping list of like, okay, I got about a dozen tunes I can play. They've all been played. But so I'm going to play some original music that I wrote, and I just released a CD which is actually called Tribute, and it's a tribute to all these great piano players like Longhair and Booker and Dr. John and Alan Toussaint. And when I was thinking about Professor Longhair songs, you know, I've played Tipatina for years, and I've recorded it as just the solo piano thing, and then I did it with a small combo with a trio. So this record was kind of a produced thing, and I really kind of wanted to go back to it because I just really love the tune, and I love playing it a lot. But I didn't want to do it again, so I kind of what we call in the technical terms, I ripped it off, and I call this song a tribute to Fess, and it's based upon the Tipatina feel.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
We are listening to Joe Krown live in studio during our Professor Longhair and James Booker tribute. Joe, so I'm listening to you, and I closed my eyes, and it felt like piano night. I know I mentioned it earlier, but it really felt like piano night. And then I started to imagine, and I remembered when Missy and I co-hosted piano night during the shutdown, and I remember watching you played and everybody just sending in everything. So let's talk about piano night. This is just so nostalgic right now.
Well, we're going to do piano night again this year. It'll be the Monday between the Jazz Fest weekends. What is that, like April?
May
something or other.
2nd to something. First.
But anyway, while they're looking up the actual date, it's going to be at the House of Blues, and we're going to have a really great lineup this year. It's kind of secretive who we've got lined up, but we've got all the big stars. And we're going to feature a large complement of all of the New Orleans piano players. You know, in the recent years, we've just really trying to zoom in on trying to give the piano night fans a real taste of what the piano players in New Orleans are doing. And I mean, we love all the piano players out there and all the piano music that's out there, but we really want to give a nice representation of who the piano players are in the city right now, what they're doing, and it's not just the people that play like what I'm playing or anything. It's just all the piano players, the gospel players, the modern jazz players, you know, the people that are doing traditional jazz. We want everybody to give that representation so that when these fans come out to hear the piano night show, they're going to walk away and say, this is what's happening in New Orleans for piano music right now.
I love it. Before I ask you to play another song, how long have you been working with piano night, and like what has that evolution into what it is becoming right now?
Well, I started playing, the first piano night I played was in 1996.
Oh.
And we used to do it back at Tipitina's back then. And then somewhere around 2000 or so, 1999, 2000, I can't remember the specific year, but we moved into Generations Hall. And then after Katrina hit, we moved over to the House of Blues. And we've been there since 2006 at the House of Blues. And I've played piano night every year except for last year because I was out on tour in Europe. In fact, the year before that, I was out on tour during Jazz Fest, and I literally flew home every day to make piano night and the Jazz Fest and one other show. It was just, you know, North Dakota one day, New Orleans next day, South Dakota the next day, New Orleans the next day, Jazz Fest in the morning, Colorado that night. You know, it was crazy. But, you know, sometimes as musicians, this is what we have to do. It's just... Last year, as much as I still produced it, but I was in Europe, and it was just too much of a commute to fly in and fly out for shows. So. Yeah, I would have. That's you know, you got to be Superman or something, you know.
You were Superman about 5 years ago? You just hung up your cape?
Well, yeah.
Let's bring it out, Joe.
But anyway, in 2017, as there was a transition in WWOZ, and that's when I took over producing it. And in fact, that year they were actually considering not doing it, and I got together with some of the board members. I called up Marcia Ball, and I said, Marcia, would you be interested in doing this if I can still do this? And she was totally together with it. And I got some of the board members, and we presented to the board. We went to the board meeting in it was like the first Wednesday or Tuesday or something of every month. So we went in the first week of March, and they gave us approval to do it. And they were basically like, you can't count on us for any help. It's all on you guys to do it. And we did it. We pulled it off in a matter of 6 weeks. We put the whole show together, and it was very successful. We had a really great turnout, and ever since then, as OZ has settled down, even to this point in this new beautiful studio, they're still looking at me to do the piano night, and I actually, you know, rounded up all these piano players and organized the whole event. And usually, when Dave Ankers, who's what is he, head of content or program director or?
I'm not sure. I just know him as Dave.
What's his title? He's got a title.
I know he has a title. I know him as Dave.
He's got an official title, but whenever we need to do a piano event, he usually calls me up, and either I actually do it with him, or I consult on it, and it's because I'm really out seeking out who the piano players are for piano night every year. And every year I have another as the year goes on, I discover a new guy, and I'm like, oh yeah, piano night. It used to be that, like, I'd sit at the piano, and every night I'd play, I'm like, yeah, this would be a good piano night song. And I'm sure all the piano players that are today have been here. They can understand that, like, when you're sitting out there playing solo gigs, you're sitting there thinking, like, this could work for piano night. This could be a good piano night song. Well, now I'm on the producer level, and now I walk into a place and I hear a piano player, it catches my ear. I'm like, this could be a good piano player for piano night. And I'm always doing that, coming across different players, because piano players never play together. Unless we do
true.
these kind of things, we don't really get to hang out and really play music together.
Well, this moment is really an indescribable feeling, and that's why it feels
great.
so.
I love doing it. So,
Do you have one last song for us?
one last song. Okay, let's do let's do a
pressure.
Booker tune. Okay. I'm going to do something that Josh kind of touched on. This is classified, and this was probably one of Booker's more popular songs that he did. I do my own arrangement of it, and it's pretty strict to how the feel of it was. And this is also on my new record, Tribute, and it's a great tune. Thank you.
Joe Krown, y'all. Thank you so much for celebrating.